Hello guys, and welcome to tonight's broadcast. Today's topic is close to my heart. Way back when I was in middle school, I came across the SCP Foundation, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. It's totally real, because I was like a stupid little kid. But nevertheless, my first exposure to the facility was the notorious SCP-096, also known as the Shy Guy. I'll go over his description and what he's all about, but if you want to read the full article yourself, it'll be in the description. So sit back and enjoy. Tonight's entity, the Shy Guy. The brief description of SCP-096 goes as the following. It is 2.38 meters in height, and with a quick Google search, I've concluded that it's 7.8 feet. The subject shows very little muscle mass and mild malnutrition. Arms are grossly out of proportion when compared to the torso, and both its eyes and body are devoid of pigment. In my opinion, he kind of looks like the Wendigo from Until Dawn, but if it was just much larger and more human. An interesting trait of the creature is how strange his limbs are, gross, and the same trait carries over to its jaw. It's able to open its jaw 4 times larger than the average human. You can imagine the cracking in the flesh stretching every time he does this. A pro for us, or maybe a con depending on how you see it, is that SCP-096 does not have higher brain function, and isn't considered sapient. Sapient, by the way, just means it has the capacity to have wisdom and higher level thought compared to like a mindless animal. So as you can imagine, without any real intelligence, SCP-096 spends its time just kind of brain dead in itself, until of course someone views his face. Here's where the real meat of it is. This SCP is known for going absolutely feral as soon as his face is viewed directly or remotely. Also, do you guys remember Grave Encounters? That movie where the paranormal group gets trapped in an asylum? Well, in the second one that I have never watched, there's a scene with a gross looking dude grabbing this other guy from a window, and it just looks exactly like SCP-096, which is pretty cool. The person that views SCP-096 now turns into SCP-096-1, and no matter what's standing in the way of the person who viewed the Shy Guy, SCP-096 will always find a way to him or her. So I don't know, imagine you viewer get a glimpse at this thing. What's the next step? What can you do to protect yourself against this diabolical threat? Well, not much really. It'll find you and get rid of you, only to once again calm itself and return to its natural habitat. So what happened in Incident 09618? Well, to summarize, we see the entity viciously tear through its containment, which in this case is a large metal cube filled with sensors. The entity tears through the facility and escapes. Something to note here is that the Shy Guy isn't going down through the use of force multipliers or chemical weaponry. In the first emergency retrieval, we can see that it can pretty much tank high-powered weaponry. I mean, it literally took a shot to the face and the leg, and it basically just pushed it down for a second. Now, this part was kinda cool. In the interview with Dr. Dan about the incident, he talks about how they use special eyepieces to those tasks where the Shy Guy escaped. The things were supposed to scramble the image every time they looked at SCP-096, and although it was a hell of an expense, it unfortunately didn't work. This thing reaches a town. Interesting to note, the SCP Foundation blindfolded the people of the town and gathered them all up, which is the stupidest way to handle this situation. So SCP-096-1 was just a regular guy who apparently captured pictures of the Shy Guy while taking snapshots of a mountain range. It's interesting to know how just some pixels of the entity will make SCP-096 react. I mean, literally the brain can have no awareness of the image, but as long as it got into your retina, you're doomed. No wonder the scrambler goggles didn't work. The incident ends with SCP-096 being terminated, along with the 2 researchers tasked to it, Dr. Dan and Dr. Oleksii. In a further interview with one of the former commanders of the retrieval teams, it was told to us that although this thing takes damage, its skeletal system stays intact, which makes it impossible to stop. So here's a little theory I have about SCP-096. I'm thinking that the key to this thing's overreaction to being viewed relies on the victim's eyes. As long as the victim misplaces his eyes via the Foundation's help, it's all good, right? I don't know, what do you guys think? Also, the way I would have handled the incident with 096 is just by smoke bombing the whole town, right? That way nobody can see, and the only person that gets taken out is the poor soul that viewed the Shy Guy, right? That makes sense. So that's it for tonight's broadcast. I think this was one of my shorter videos, but it was still a whole lot of fun to work on. I'm not sure what to do for the next broadcast, but I'm thinking about an Adventure Time antagonist, just because I've been rewatching the show lately, so stay tuned for that next week. Hopefully I see you guys here again. Thank you for joining me, and have a great and spooky night.